So, you want to make an impact. You're thinking about starting a business, sharing your voice. How do women do it that handle motherhood, family, and still chase after those dreams? Well, listen each week as we dive into the stories of women who know. This is Call Me CEO. Welcome back, everyone, to Call Me CEO. This is your host, Camille Walker, and you are all in for a big treat. If you heard the episode last week, I referenced what this week's episode is going to be about, and it's a really unique one because our guest is really unique. She is actually the author C.R. Jane. That is her pen name, and we're not going to give you her real name, which is very mysterious and pretty fun because she's also an attorney, and her law that she practices is employment law and commercial litigation, and she wants to keep that separate and secret. And I think that's so fun. Already off the get, I'm like, how cool is this? She is the author of 50 books, but including audiobooks, 85, a US Today best-selling author, and an international best-selling author. Boom. C.R. Jane, thank you for being with us today. I'm like nerding out for you and for all the people who are listening who want to hear all about you. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me here. Again, I'm all over the place, and it's nice to be able to settle and talk about something that I'm obsessed with. So,
oh, this is so fun. Well, first off, we have to say that you are a mom as well. That is part of the show. We talk about being a mom. So tell us about your kids and what their ages are.
okay. I have two kids, two little girls. One just turned 6 and one is 3. We're very, very busy with them. I like to note that I did IVF with both of them, so they were not easy pregnancies. We also had medical scares after the birth of my first one. So, I'm very busy with just them, but they are amazing and definitely my top priority.
Oh, I love that. And I love that you brought up the fact that it was difficult and that it was something that didn't come easy. That could probably be its own episode. I know so many of us moms have been through that struggle of becoming a mom and gaining that title. So thank you for that vulnerability. I think that makes us feel even more relatable in that way. So let's start out by saying one of your top books in this last year or two is Ruining Dahlia, but that's just the tip of an iceberg of so many books that you have written throughout the years. What inspired you to become an author?
So it actually came from postpartum depression. So after my first baby, we went through the process of IVF, and that was super difficult. And then when she was born, they literally told us she was the sickest baby at the Murray NICU. It was just absolutely devastating, a miracle that she lived. And just that experience of, I'm going to cry and we're 2 minutes in. Just that experience of having, all your hopes and dreams tied to this baby that you've wished for so many years, and then having this horrifically traumatic experience, it just put me in a really dark place. Like, yes, I was very grateful that, I had my baby, but I was balancing like the emotions from that. I was balancing, still being an associate and trying to know how to handle being a woman in the workplace and balancing that caseload. And then, experiencing this very, very deep postpartum depression. And I started to read a lot during that time. It was my way to escape.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was reading, I was just like, I'm pretty sure I could do this.
Mm.
And I had written a lot in high school and middle school, elementary school. That was always my thing, right? Like English, perfect scores, writing, perfect scores on the SAT, ACT, all of that. And I'd won this competition in Texas where I got 3rd place in the whole state, like in 7th grade for writing, right?
Wow.
But then once I knew that I was going to law school, I stopped creative writing in college. I didn't do any of it. So here I am, fast forward to 2018, and I've been reading a lot of books, and I'm like, I just have this story idea. I'll just start writing it, right? And I started to get involved in the book talk world back then, and still is very active on Facebook. So there might be a different crowd on Facebook in other realms, but for readers, they're very active on Facebook and in writer groups. And I started to do my research, like what did people like? What were they looking for in books? And started to get a group of people together to read what I'd been writing and see what they thought. And, there was some excitement building. And so I was like, okay. And I don't tell anyone. My husband's the only person that knows that I've done this. I don't tell my best friends. I don't tell anyone. And so I go ahead and I publish it. And, my first book obviously was not like this amazing work of art. I just was publishing it, and it went viral, and it hit top
Wow.
100 on Amazon. And it was there for a very long time. And just people were rabid about it. And then the second book of that series came out, and it hit number 43 in Amazon. And it was just like people were just so invested and passionate. And it made me really happy, right? A lot of times I have this postpartum depression, and then law is a lot of times very serious,
Mhm.
very stressful. People are yelling at you constantly. And all of a sudden, I had this thing where every day I'm getting emails and messages of people just saying how much they loved me and loved my writing. And, people who wanted to like be friends with me, which also, it's hard with how busy we get to have these friendships. And so to have this new group of people that it's easier to communicate,
Oh,
just to
yeah.
like write people online than necessarily going out to have time to meet someone, somewhere. And so it just opened this whole new world, and it's grown and grown and grown. And then last year when Ronin Dahlia came out, it just went to all new heights. It's been completely life changing, and it's also helped my mental state so incredibly much. I'm sure that was more than what you were looking for, but it's one of the biggest blessings of my entire life. But I got into it because of reading books while in postpartum depression. Short answer.
Wow, 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 wow. Oh, I have so many questions that are a part of this because how many of us have tried to dive into something when I think it's a form of escapism, right? Where we're like listening to a book or reading a book. I relate to that. But the fact that you could be like, I think I'm going to do this. And you just like come out and write this bestseller. First of all, what is the name of that book? So people who are listening can check this out.
So that was First Impressions. The series is called the Faded Wing series.
Okay.
Again, that one didn't have like the whole team around it that is C.R. Jane, but it's still very popular, a very easy read if you want to have some escapism.
Okay, so I want to talk about this a little bit more. So, for someone who's listening to this and saying, oh, I would love to start writing a book, did you self publish this book or how did you get it out so that it did hit Amazon in a way that it had traction?
So I published it exclusively with Amazon. They have a program called Kindle Unlimited. So your ebooks can only be with Amazon. You can publish your paperbacks wide so that they show up in Target, Barnes and Noble, etc. But you publish them through Amazon. And I didn't do any advertising. I didn't pay, for anything. It was just the pure readers of
Wow.
Facebook spreading the word, and then Amazon getting it in its algorithms.